People always talk about that gut feeling, like it's some sixth sense. Thing is, most of us don't listen to it, not until something happens that makes you wish you had. My name's Noah Weller. I'm 23, and I work the overnight shift at the Walmart Supercenter off Dallas Parkway in Plano, Texas. Electronics department, midnight to 6. I'm not some survivalist or martial artist, just a regular guy trying to save up for nursing school. Working nights because they pay slightly better and I like avoiding crowds. Quiet suits me, especially since everything went sideways after my grandpa passed. He raised me mostly. And when he got sick, Alzheimer's, I dropped school, moved back home, and spent most of that year changing his clothes and reminding him who I was. After he was gone, I didn't know what to do with myself. I needed to feel useful again. Nursing school was still there, but I didn't have the money. So here I am, pushing carts of TVs and resetting shelves under fluorescent lights at 1 a.m. Wednesday night. No, technically, Thursday morning. It was quiet. That dead part of the shift where even the late-night shoppers disappear, and the only sound is the buzz of the lights overhead and the occasional squeaky wheel on a restocking cart. I'd been on my feet for 3 hours and figured I'd take my 5-minute break. I headed out through the employee-only exit near the loading dock in the back. The lot out there is usually empty. No cameras, just a few dumpsters, vending machines, and the steel exit door that only opens from the inside. It's calm, which is what I needed. I cracked open a Red Bull, leaned against the wall, and just stood there. Not scrolling my phone, not listening to music, just taking in the quiet. The Texas air was warm but not unbearable, and for once, my brain wasn't racing. Then I saw it. An old tan Ford Expedition, rolling slowly through the empty lot. No headlights, no music, just crawling along. Didn't think much of it at first. People get lost. Some are waiting for rides. Maybe they're looking for someone. But then it passed again, and a third time. That's when something in me tensed. You ever get that sense someone's looking right through you? Like you're suddenly the center of something you didn't ask to be part of. The SUV slowed down again, then stopped. A man got out. Ball cap pulled low, sweatshirt zipped halfway, clean jeans. Looked like someone's gym coach or maybe a middle school dad. He walked toward me casually. Too casually. "Hey," he called out. "You work here?" "Yeah," I answered, instinctively polite. "What's up?" He pointed back toward the SUV. "Listen, man, I bought a 55-inch TV earlier, huge box. My back's kind of messed up and I just need help lifting it into the trunk. My brother was with me, but he ran inside. Could you give me a hand real quick? I can show you the receipt if you need it." I glanced toward the lot. I couldn't see anyone else, no brother, just the SUV. And something about the way he said it, I don't know, too rehearsed, like he'd said that exact line before. "Customer service is still open," I said. "They can send someone out to help you." He smiled. Friendly, but forced. "Yeah, they're slammed. I just saw you out here and figured I'd ask real quick. It'll take 2 minutes. I'd owe you, man." That's when I noticed the second guy. He was standing near the far wall of the building, not saying anything, just there, half in shadow, arms crossed, watching. That chill I'd felt, it turned into something sharper. I shifted my stance, one hand still holding the half-empty can, the other hovering near the door handle behind me. "I really gotta clock back in," I said, trying to keep my tone neutral. "Sorry, man." Cap guy laughed. "Come on, dude. I'm not asking you to carry a fridge, just a TV. What, you're not allowed to help anymore?" That tone. Slightly annoyed now, like I owed him something. That's when the second guy moved, just a step forward. Just enough to make it clear this wasn't some random buddy waiting in a car. He wasn't there to lift anything, he was there for me. I said, louder this time, "You should really check with the front. I'm not supposed to leave the dock unsupervised." Then I turned and pulled the steel door open. Behind me, Cap guy muttered something under his breath. I didn't stop to ask what. The door clicked shut behind me, and I locked it. My hand was shaking slightly, but not bad. I grabbed my radio. "Valerie," I said into the walkie. "You copy?" A pause, then, "Yeah, go ahead." "I think something's up out back. 2 guys by the dock. One asked for help with a TV. Felt off." "You okay?" "Yeah, I'm inside. But something's not right." "Head to security. I'll meet you there." I walked quickly down the hallway. Didn't run. Running would have made it real. I kept picturing that second guy. How quiet he was. How he didn't speak. Just stared. In the tiny surveillance room, Mike was on break, feet on the desk, snacking on trail mix. He looked up. "Dude, you look pale." I ignored that and pointed at the monitor. "Can you pull up the dock lot feed just now?" He clicked and dragged the feed backward. The SUV was still out there, parked sideways. No loading, no cart, no movement, just waiting. Valerie walked in just as we paused the footage. She's in her late 30s, night shift lead, no nonsense. The kind of manager who could break up a fight with nothing but a look. "What are we looking at?" she asked. I explained it. Not dramatic, just how it happened. Step by step. She watched the screen. "They've been circling?" Mike rewound it. Sure enough, the SUV had been creeping around the lot for at least 30 minutes. It parked in 3 different areas. No one ever got out to shop. "That's not someone waiting for a pickup," she muttered. "That's someone waiting for a person." She pulled out her phone and called the police. Didn't use 911, just the local line. Explained it plainly. 2 men loitering, acting suspicious, approaching employees out back, possibly casing the store. The cops showed up 10 minutes later. Expedition was gone, just gone. The officers who came were decent guys, mid-40s maybe. One took notes while the other asked questions. "What did he say exactly?" I told him. "And the second guy never spoke?" "Not a word." They nodded, took down the plate we'd pulled from the feed, promised to follow up. "You'd be surprised how common this is," one of them said. "We've had reports like this across town. Same kind of setup. Guy says he needs help loading something. Second guy waits nearby, van or SUV close to an exit. Nobody gets aggressive unless they think you're alone." Valerie asked, "What are they trying to do? Rob someone?" "Could be. Could be worse." He didn't elaborate. They left with a copy of the footage, and I sat in the break room for a long time just staring at the wall. I kept thinking how close I'd come to walking over. Just a few feet further, just one step outside the light. Now, I don't take breaks outside. I carry pepper spray clipped to my badge lanyard. My mom gave it to me after I told her the story. She didn't say much, just nodded and bought it off Amazon the next day. I don't say no to helping people, but I don't say yes blindly anymore. There's a difference. When new hires ask me about night shift, I tell them the truth. I tell them to stick together, to stay in lit areas, and to trust their gut, even if it makes them feel awkward. Because awkward is better than missing. Sometimes I still hear that guy's voice in my head. Too smooth, too casual. "Just take 2 minutes, man." Yeah, 2 minutes. That's all it takes to disappear. Not every friendly face is safe. Trust your instincts, even when it feels uncomfortable. Being cautious isn't being rude, it's being smart. And sometimes, it's the thing that saves your life. They say when life knocks you down, you crawl back to where it all began. For me, that place was Naples, Florida. After breaking off a 2-year engagement in Chicago and walking away from a high-rise job I once thought would define me, I came home with 2 duffel bags, a cracked phone, and more emotional baggage than I cared to unpack. My sister Katie let me crash in her spare bedroom, the one with floral bedsheets and boxes of baby clothes she hadn't donated yet. She meant well, always did. And to her credit, she didn't ask too many questions. Just gave me a hug, slid over a house key and said, "You'll figure it out." A week later, I got hired for the overnight shift at the Walmart off Airport Pulling Road. Health and beauty aisles. Nothing glamorous, just me, a cart full of inventory, and the rhythmic piece of fluorescent lights buzzing at 3 a.m. I liked it. No customers, no office gossip, no ring on my finger to explain. Walmart became my blank slate. The only weird thing was aisle 9. My aisle. It always felt off. At first I thought I was being paranoid. I'd come in at 10 p.m., stock razors, shampoos, lotions, go home by 6 a.m. But little things started happening. Items were moved when I knew they hadn't been. A cap unscrewed here, a deodorant stick twisted open there. One night, all the Neutrogena products were facing backward, like someone had gone down the aisle intentionally flipping them. I reported it to Mitch, the overnight manager. He laughed. Probably teenagers playing hide and seek. You wouldn't believe what we've caught on cameras before. Some kid rollerbladed through the store last week. Still, I started taking pictures of how I left my shelves before breaks. I needed to prove to myself that something wasn't right. It wasn't until that third week, Friday night, somewhere close to 3 a.m., that I truly began to question everything. I was crouched near the lower shampoo rack, restocking Dove bottles, when I heard something move. A faint scuff. A breath? I couldn't tell, but it came from just beyond the corner of my aisle. "Lenny," I called out. Silence. Just the faint hum of the freezer section down the way and the low creak of something unseen. I stood up slowly, heart ticking just a bit faster. It wasn't unusual for coworkers to mess around. Lenny especially liked to sneak up on people and make them drop product. He called it Walmart tag. It was stupid. Still, something about the way that scuff had sounded, it didn't feel playful. I stepped around the end cap, expecting to see someone crouched behind the shampoo display, but there was no one. Just an empty aisle, cold, still. And then I saw it. A tiny travel-size conditioner bottle standing perfectly upright in the middle of the floor, right at the junction between aisle 9 and the clearance shelf. It hadn't been there before. I would have noticed. Next to it was a small yellow sticky note. The pen ink had bled slightly, like it had been written with a shaky hand. 2 words. "You see?" I stood there, gripping my price gun so tight it left an indent in my palm. My throat felt dry. I backed away, almost tripping over the edge of the bottom shelf. I called Mitch on the walkie, told him someone was messing around near my section. Within 10 minutes, night security had done a sweep. No one was hiding in the aisles, no backdoor breaches. And of course, the security cameras that pointed toward aisle 9? Static. 7 minutes of glitchy nothing between 2:42 and 2:49 a.m. "You sure you're not just tired?" Mitch asked, one eyebrow raised like I was overreacting. "I didn't imagine it," I muttered. "Well, whoever it was, they're gone now. You should take your break, get some air." That was the only suggestion he ever had. Take a break. So I did. I walked to the employee lot and sat in my car, trying to calm down. That's when I saw it. My passenger side mirror was folded in. I never parked that close to anyone. I leaned forward, and taped to my windshield, flapping gently under the wind wiper, was another sticky note. This one read, "I see you too." I called Katie. I don't know why. It was 3:20 a.m. and I knew she'd be asleep, but I just needed to hear a familiar voice. Her phone went to voicemail, and suddenly I felt like a ghost, parked under a flickering light surrounded by silence. I took the rest of the night off. Mitch didn't fight me on it. "You've been tense lately," he said. "Come back when you're ready." I stayed home the next 2 shifts. Katie tried to be supportive, but I could see her concern creeping in. "Maybe retail isn't the best fit right now," she suggested carefully over cereal. But it wasn't the job. It was aisle 9. Something about that spot. It was watched. I knew it. I felt it. When I returned on Monday, HR let me shift to backroom receiving. No more late nights stocking face creams. No more walking past shampoo shelves and wondering what I'd find. I didn't even check aisle 9 after that. I avoided it like a bad memory, but that memory didn't want to be forgotten. 3 weeks later, Jessie, a bubbly 22-year-old who worked sanitation, came into the break room pale as a ghost. I was clocking out when she whispered, "You worked aisle 9, right?" I nodded slowly. She held up a sticky note. This one had been found stuck to a mop in the janitor's closet. It said, "You see." Different handwriting, same message. My stomach sank. I asked if she'd seen anyone near her cart, but she hadn't. She just said the mop was leaning weird when she picked it up, like someone had handled it recently. "I think someone's watching people," she whispered. "Picking us." I didn't disagree, but I didn't tell her about my car mirror, or the second note. I didn't want to make it real again. I still dream about that aisle. I don't remember exactly what product I was restocking, but in my dream, it's always the same. I stand up from the bottom shelf and someone is already there, not moving, not speaking, just watching me from the other end of the aisle. Sometimes it's a man in a hoodie. Sometimes it's a woman with no eyes. And sometimes it's just a shadow, a dark, human-shaped silhouette that flickers when the overhead lights buzz. I told Katie. She urged me to talk to someone. Therapy, something. But how do you explain paranoia when the world keeps brushing it off as imagination? After a while, I moved into my own apartment near 5th Avenue. Got a job at a vet clinic, where the scariest thing I deal with is the occasional feral cat. But I still avoid Walmart, especially the one off Airport Pulling Road. And I never park under light poles anymore, especially the ones where the shadows don't move right. Looking back, I don't think it was a ghost. Not in the traditional sense. I think someone was there. Someone alive. Someone real. Someone who thrived in the kind of invisibility that night shifts and closed aisles allow. A watcher. A stalker who enjoyed playing games. Leaving notes. Making people doubt what they'd seen. I'll never know who they were. But I learned something important. Sometimes, you're not crazy. Sometimes the fear in your gut isn't paranoia. It's instinct. We're trained to brush off warning signs for the sake of not making a scene. But if I'd ignored that second note, if I hadn't stepped away, maybe I would have been seen a little too much. When something feels wrong, trust it. Don't let politeness override your safety. Your instincts might just save you from becoming someone else's next unseen story. They say when you hit bottom, the only way out is up. But no one tells you what it feels like to live at the bottom, to build a life there. For me, it looked a lot like the overnight shift at the Walmart on Blair Mill Road in Willow Grove, Pennsylvania. I was 33rd, divorced, clean for a year and 9 months. My daughter Tessa was 6 and thought I worked at a toy factory. Let her believe it. I only got her on the 2nd and 4th Saturdays anyway. After my HVAC work dried up and the economy punched my savings in the gut, I took what I could. Night shifts, clearance bins, mopping up spilled soda and electronics and dealing with sketchy returns. Quiet was better than chaos, at least on most nights. Wednesdays were my least favorite, not because of the work but because the store was too still. You could hear the hum of the fridge units 3 aisles down. That particular night, around 1:15 a.m., I was manning the returns counter while Lenny, the overnight manager, went out for a smoke. That's when he walked in. Tall guy, late 30s maybe. Pressed shirt, khakis, and the kind of clean-shaven face you only see on real estate signs or jury duty ads. He was carrying a dusty flat-screen TV in a weathered box, not taped shut, just folded down at the corners. "Need to return this," he said, voice flat but calm. "Receipt?" I asked automatically. "Nope. Gift from someone I'd rather forget." I explained the store policy. No receipt, no return. Not for electronics. Not after 30 days. I didn't even get halfway through my usual script when he leaned in, just a few inches from my face, and said quietly, "Don't make this difficult." His tone didn't rise, his face didn't twitch, but his eyes, cold, empty. The kind of stare you don't argue with unless you've got backup, which I didn't. I glanced at the screen and scanned the TV's barcode. Sold 5 months ago, in Arizona. That's when things got strange. He slid a folded paper across the counter, said nothing, and took a step back. It wasn't a receipt. It was a mugshot. His face but longer hair, busted lip. Beneath it, he's not who he says he is. When I looked up again, he was gone. At first I thought maybe he walked out fast, but when I asked security to check the exit footage, the screen just showed static. Glitchy white noise from 1:14 to 1:20 a.m. That was the third time this month. Probably the wind, the tech said, sipping coffee like it was all normal. Or some cables loose on the east panels. I wasn't convinced. I knew weird when I saw it, and that night had weird written all over it. Lenny came back from his smoke break around 1:30, brushing snow off his hoodie. Everything good? I showed him the mugshot. He frowned. Dude, this looks like something out of Unsolved Mysteries. You serious right now? I swear to God, I said. He was just here. He gave me that. Well, he's not on the cameras, so either you're pranking me or this guy's the damn Flash. He wasn't taking it seriously. I didn't expect him to, but I couldn't shake the feeling, the kind you get when your gut starts whispering warnings your brain can't yet explain. Around 2:10 a.m., I went to check the loading dock door. It always jammed unless you shoved the bolt twice. Smokers sometimes forgot. And when I stepped into the hallway near the break room, cold air hit me. The dock door was wide open, swaying slightly. Someone had been here. I reached for the latch and saw something lying just inside the threshold. A black USB stick and taped to it, a sticky note. It said, "Watch before morning, or someone else will." I didn't even lock the door, just grabbed it and went straight to the break room. The computer barely booted. Took 10 minutes. But once the files opened, I wished it hadn't worked at all. The video was shaky, like it had been filmed with a phone and no intention of staying steady. It showed someone, presumably the man, walking through our Walmart. At night. Camera flipped to selfie for a second. A hoodie, face in shadows, breathing heavy. Then turned back around. He moved past electronics into produce, then down to the staff corridor. The camera paused outside the employee break room door. That door was marked, "Authorized personnel only," locked by keypad after 11 p.m. But the next frame? Inside the break room. The lights were low. Blankets on the floor. Faces visible. Sleeping night shift workers, including me. I recognized my own stupid face, mouth slightly open, slumped against the vending machine. The timestamp in the corner? 3 nights ago. 2:47 a.m. I hadn't even known I'd fallen asleep. I didn't remember it. But there I was. Vulnerable, unaware. And someone who didn't belong, had been watching us. I shut the file. Heart pounding, palms damp. I printed a still frame with my face visible and brought it to Lenny. "I need to go home," I said. "What is this? You sleeping?" "Number, it's someone filming me sleeping 3 nights ago." He looked pale. Did you give anyone a key code?" I shook my head. We brought it to management the next morning. They filed a report, shrugged, and offered me a week of paid leave. That was it. No cops showed up, no follow-ups. Just, "Thanks for bringing it to our attention." I didn't return after that week. I emailed in my resignation and packed up what was left of my dignity. Tessa didn't know any of this. I didn't want her to. She was still too young to understand why Daddy always locked the bedroom window, or why he started checking under the car before every drive. But I couldn't shake the feeling. That face, that stare, whoever that man was. He wasn't returning a TV. He was sending a message, or worse, baiting a trap. I took the USB stick home, still have it, in a fireproof lockbox at the back of my closet. Sometimes I think about turning it over to someone. FBI, local PD, hell, even a podcast. But I don't. Because if he's still out there, I don't want him to know I kept it. He might not care about policies, cameras, or security doors, but he seems to care who's watching. And maybe, just maybe, he still wants to be seen. It's been over a year since I left Walmart. I work loading docks in Scranton now. Quiet shifts, steel-toe boots, no break room naps, no unlocked doors. I keep to myself. Don't drink. Don't ask questions I'm not ready to answer. But I still dream about that night. I still wonder if he's out there, pulling the same act somewhere else. Charming smile, old TV box, another dusty mugshot that no one believes. Maybe I was a test. Maybe I was the first who noticed. Whatever the case, I learned one thing. Evil doesn't always announce itself with rage or noise. Sometimes it smiles. It whispers. It hands you a fake return and watches you sleep. Trust your instincts even when no one else does. Especially then. After the breakup, I swore I'd never look back. But when Tampa finally spit me out with nothing but a suitcase, 2 maxed-out cards, and a lease termination, home was all I had left. Lakeland hadn't changed much. Still sleepy, still humid. The roads were wide, the people friendly enough, and the Walmart Supercenter off Highway 98 still ran the graveyard shift like a second heartbeat for the town's insomniacs and night crawlers. I got the job 2 weeks after I moved back in with my mom. Night cashier, self-checkout, simple work, quiet, and exactly what I needed. I didn't want attention. I didn't want small talk or someone asking how I was doing. I just wanted to exist. Under the fluorescent lights, with the beeps of scanned cereal boxes and the occasional, "Ma'am, this won't scan," breaking the silence. Most nights blurred together, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., like a soft fog. Customers came in waves, tired nurses, twitchy teenagers, truckers grabbing microwave burritos. By 12:30, it got real still. Sometimes I'd play podcasts during my breaks, mostly true crime, oddly comforting. The grisly stories made me feel alert, prepared. I always figured if something weird ever happened, I'd be ready. But I wasn't. That Sunday started normal. It was already past midnight, and the store had dipped into its quiet lull. I was restocking gum at the register when I saw her. She walked in fast, a woman in her late 30s maybe, wearing a blue vest, but not one of ours. Outdated logo, faded print, no barcode on her badge. Something was off. She came straight to me. "Pick up for the Brensons," she said. No smile. Her hair was damp like she'd just stepped out of a downpour, though it hadn't rained in days. "Do you have an order number?" I asked. She paused. Her fingers fidgeted at her side. Then, without a word, she turned and walked toward the back, toward the stockroom doors marked employees only. I watched her disappear without hesitation. Something in my gut twisted. I pressed the call button on the store radio. "Victor to self-check, come in." No response. "Hey, Vic, you around? Got a customer heading to the back without clearance?" Silence. I glanced at the hallway where the woman had vanished. Those doors weren't supposed to open for anyone without clearance, especially not pickup customers. Most online orders were handled at the front or brought out by staff. I stood there for a moment, hesitating. I should have just stayed put. Let someone else deal with it. But curiosity has a way of pulling at your feet. I stepped toward the stockroom. The lights overhead flickered like they were struggling to stay awake. It smelled faintly of cleaning chemicals and cardboard. Then I heard it. Breathing, but not hers. Heavy, uneven, like someone bigger. And then he stepped out from the walk-in freezer, a man in a Walmart cap pushing a cart. Tall, late 40s maybe, thick beard, stiff expression. But I'd never seen him before. No name badge, no recognition. He didn't acknowledge me, just wheeled the cart, sealed boxes stacked high, right past me and into the general aisles like he owned the place. Before I could say a word, the woman reappeared, coat zipped high, something bulging under it. That's when I moved. I hit the emergency alert on my store radio. 2 quick taps, like they trained us. But instead of the usual chirp and tone, it just hissed static. Dead. Panicked, I reached for my phone. Gone. My apron was empty. My phone was on the floor, back by the freezer entrance, screen face up and lit. How had I not noticed? I moved toward it, heart hammering. That's when a shopping cart rolled down the aisle by itself from the direction they'd gone, squeaking wheels, no hands. And they were gone. Not out the front doors, not through the checkout lanes, just gone. I grabbed my phone and bolted back to the registers. The store was dead silent. No customers, no Victor, not even music playing from the overhead speakers anymore. Just the dull hum of air conditioning and the occasional creak of metal shelves settling. I hesitated, phone in hand, debating whether to call 911. Maybe it was just a strange misunderstanding. Maybe the woman had clearance. Maybe the guy was a fill-in. But I knew better. Something was wrong. Deep wrong. So I made the call. 911, what's your emergency? This is Claire Houston. I'm working at the Walmart on 98 North in Lakeland. There's been a break-in or something. 2 individuals entered a restricted area. One of them isn't on the cameras. My radio's dead. I think they took something. The dispatcher kept me on the line. I could hear her typing as I explained everything. She told me to wait near the front, stay safe. The police arrived in under 6 minutes, blue lights strobing across the parking lot like lightning bugs. I let them in, heart racing, explaining everything again. We went to the back. The freezer was open, but the boxes were gone. Security footage confirmed most of what I said. The woman had entered, alone. No male followed her. But you could see me. You could see my fear as I backed away from nothing, just empty space. He's not there, the officer said, leaning toward the monitor. You're talking to someone, but no one's in frame. They checked the logs. No order from the Brensons existed. No pickup was scheduled that night. Victor? He finally called back, said he'd stepped outside for a smoke break around the same time. Didn't hear a thing. Walmart corporate claimed the camera system had been undergoing software updates that night. Some frames were missing, overwritten, or corrupted. I quit the next week. I didn't sleep well after that. But the worst came 2 months later. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I was home, watching TV in sweatpants, just trying to feel normal again. That's when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. 1 message. I tapped it open. Thanks for not interfering. Attached was a photo. A photo of me, standing behind the self-checkout station, taken from the candy rack aisle. My head was down, clearly mid-scan, but my badge was visible. The timestamp? 12:32 a.m. That Sunday, the night they were there, I stared at the image for a long time. My hands shook. My mouth went dry. How? Who took it? There'd been no customers nearby, no coworkers, no one on the cameras. I showed it to my mom. She suggested calling the police. But what could they do? It wasn't a threat. Just a message. A thank you. As if I had done them a favor. I deleted the message, but I still think about it sometimes. How long had that person stood there watching me? And why did they let me go? Months passed. I took a new job at a local bookstore. Quiet, cozy, no 24-hour fluorescent nightmares. But I was different now. More alert. Always watching the corners of rooms. I don't wear my earbuds in public anymore. I keep my phone clipped to my belt. I lock my bedroom door at night, even at home. Sometimes I dream about that night. But the dreams always change. The man in the cap becomes faceless. The woman walks backward through the store, and the carts all move on their own, clattering down empty aisles. Other times it's the smell of cold air and cardboard that wakes me, like the freezer was never closed. One night I was driving past that Walmart again. I don't know why, just circling the area. The parking lot was mostly empty except for one thing, a cart. sitting near the garden center full of sealed boxes, no one nearby. I didn't stop. I didn't want to know. Trust your instincts. When something feels off, it probably is. In a world full of distractions and false signals, your gut might be the last honest warning you'll get. Pay attention, ask questions, and above all, never ignore the people who walk into your life at the wrong time, wearing the wrong uniform, asking for the wrong things. They say family always comes first, but when your family's broken in half, that's not so easy. I was 19, working night shifts at the Walmart on Wilma Rudolph Boulevard in Clarksville, Tennessee. Overnight stocker, frozen goods and dry pantry. Not exactly glamorous, but it paid better than food service, and I needed every dollar. After Dad passed away from a heart attack last spring, it was just me and Lily, my 9-year-old sister, trying to hold it all together. That Friday night, our usual babysitter bailed last minute. Aunt Tara was out of town. I didn't have another option, so I brought Lily with me to work. Not onto the floor, just into the break room. I figured she could nap on the worn couch with her little stuffed rabbit, Mr. Buttons, just until 3 a.m., when the backup sitter was scheduled to come by. I'd sneak out during my lunch break and let her in. I didn't want to risk getting written up, but sometimes you've got to bend the rules for the people you love. Lily was fast asleep by the time I clocked in at 11:30 p.m. I checked on her twice before midnight. Everything was normal. She was curled up in her hoodie, holding Mr. Buttons to her chest like always. Then at 12:17 a.m., my phone buzzed in my pocket. Incoming call. Grandma Marlene. I stopped cold. I hadn't spoken to her in almost 2 years. After everything that happened, after she tried to take Lily from school one afternoon, manic and confused, Mom had filed a protective order. That order expired months ago, but Marlene never reached out. Until now. I declined the call. 10 seconds later, the front door buzzer rang. Bryce, the assistant manager, looked up from his tablet. "Some old ladies out front," he said casually. I walked over to the monitor and looked. My stomach dropped. It was her. There she was. Marlene. Barefoot on cold pavement. Her gray hair clumped at the roots, face pale and pulled tight. She stared into the security camera like she knew exactly where it was, exactly how to look. And in her hands, dangling by one ear, was Mr. Buttons, Lily's rabbit. I didn't even think. I bolted toward the break room, my sneakers sliding a little on the waxed floor. Lily was still there, asleep safe, thank God. But Mr. Buttons was gone. I scanned the room in disbelief. How the hell did she get the rabbit? The doors were locked. We'd been inside all night. Was she ever really asleep with it? Did I miss something? I crouched and gently shook Lily awake. Hey, sweet pea, it's okay," I whispered. "Did you bring Mr. Buttons when you laid down?" She nodded, still groggy. "He was right here." That's when the knock came. Not from the front door. We would have heard the buzzer again. This one echoed from the back of the store. The employee exit. 3 slow knocks. Bryce came jogging down the hallway. "What the hell is going on?" "It's her," I said. "My grandma. That woman outside. She's not supposed to be near Lily." Another knock, this time harder. "Stay here," Bryce said. "I'll check it." "No," I snapped. "You don't know her. Let's just call security." He waved me off and headed to the back. I pulled Lily into my arms and held her tight. Bryce radioed in. "Nothing back here. Doors locked. No one around." Just then, bang! Another knock. Not from the exit. This time it came from inside the emergency stairwell next to dry goods. I swear the temperature dropped. Lily clung to me, half awake now, breathing fast. "Why is she here?" she whispered. "Is she mad?" I didn't answer. I didn't want to lie, and I didn't want to tell the truth either. Bryce radioed again. "Okay, something's off. I checked the cameras. She's not at the front door anymore. No sign of her outside." That meant one of two things. Either she left, or she got inside. I didn't want to believe it, but we weren't taking chances. I scooped up Lily and rushed us into the nearest locked room I could find, the employee restroom. It had a deadbolt and solid walls. I latched it, pulled down the changing station, and sat with her in my lap. I tried to call 911. Busy. I tried again, and again. Finally, on the fourth try, I got through. As I gave our location, I heard it. A faint sound coming through the air vent above us, singing, software raspy. Lily, Lily, little bird. My heart dropped. It was the lullaby. Her lullaby. The one she used to hum before everything fell apart. The one she sang when she tried to take Lily that day outside the school playground. Lily froze in my lap. "That's her song," she whispered. I held her tighter. The dispatcher asked if I could hear anything unusual. I didn't know how to explain it. "She's inside. I don't know how, but she's here. Please get someone here now." The singing stopped. Then, silence. Dead, humming silence. 5 minutes later, we heard the sirens. Clarksville PD arrived fast. I could hear them shouting across the store, heavy boots on tile. I shook off the first one. The third note I kept, taped it to my mirror. It reminds me, teaching is more than grammar. It's being present, not frozen. I haven't returned to the high school yet. Maybe I'll try. But "you left us" haunts me, a call to action, a caution. In every classroom, every hallway, utter passivity can wound more than words. Tonight, as I lie here, with the hum of HVAC cycling through my window, I understand truth clearly. Being present matters more than being right. When someone hurts or reaches out, your silence can speak louder than any apology. Don't walk away and hide in inertia. Stay with them. Whether in a dim aisle, a noisy classroom, or a fragile moment at 2:10 a.m., you can be the difference between guilt and grace, neglect and healing. I never thought I'd find solace in a night shift at Walmart. At 45, I was a high school English teacher, until a student incident left me shaken, unable to face a classroom again. I took a leave, dubiously assured everyone I'd reset. But true peace proved elusive. Plymouth winters bite early, and that Tuesday evening was colder than usual. I clocked in at 10:30 p.m., alone on the overnight shift. No manager in sight, just me, a mop, and a cart full of detergent. Jules, a jittery 22-year-old I trained months ago, wanted the night off. Mercy, fatigue, escaped me. I swapped shifts, and here I was. The store felt silent, too quiet, beneath flickering fluorescents. I pushed my cart through aisle 5, reciting sonnets to myself to calm my rattling mind. Repetition helped. I stocked, I organized, I found peace in routine. But something felt off. Maybe the residual guilt that clung to my chest. Maybe the cold seeping into tile and steel. I shook my head and focused on the task, filling the bottom rows with Tide Pods. Every bag identical, but that's what helped. Soon after midnight, I made a loop through the liquor section to check IDs. By then, only restock remained. Module by module, I worked. I liked the sameness of night shifts. No small talk, no grading essays, no moral reckoning over whether I failed my students. But fate, or my own guilt, had other plans. By 1:30 a.m., I was on my third route through detergent. The chill gnawed my bones, but the hum of the freezers and the crisp clatter of bottles helped keep my mind steady. Maybe I even enjoyed the emptiness. Then at 2:10 a.m., just past receiving, I heard it. Barely audible. A gentle scraping, like fingernails on polish, nails dragging. I paused, clutching my cart handle, and listened. My breath clouded in the air, but I didn't dare exhale. "Hello?" My voice trembled more than I wanted. Nothing. I took a step toward the back corridor. The scraping started again, halting when I stopped, like someone was stopping or waiting. I flicked the lights off and on. They blinked twice, then steadied. The store was empty, or so it felt. I moved forward until I stood under that yellow exit sign. The chill poured down my collarbone. Then I saw him. The figure stood at the corridor entrance. He looked like an older teenage boy, hoodie shredded at the sleeves, backlit by emergency lights. I froze. He said nothing at first. "Can I help you, buddy? You're not supposed to be back here." Silence. "You left us," he whispered. Voice thin, rough like broken tile. My heart stalled. I felt the memory rise, hot and raw. Caleb, a sophomore in my class last year, his eyes wild, hands shaking, brandishing scissors during a poetry discussion. Too close, too violent. I froze. I didn't stop him. I didn't help the other kids. I failed. He got a 504 plan after, but I carried his face in my mind like a scar. Now this stranger whispered the same indictment. "You left us." I backed away, chest tightening. "No, I didn't." My voice croaked. The boy only stared, body still, hat covering his face. Then he leaned in, whispering again. "You left us." I took a step forward. "Who? Who are you?" He shook his head. "It's never about me." Then he moved, a step toward me. My throat closed. I turned and fled down the aisle, cart abandoned, past rows of laundry pods, my sneakers echoing. Then, nothing. I spun around, no sign of him, just cold tile. Down the aisle I heard the squeak of rubber boots. Turning the corner I nearly collided with Jules. He stared at me, heart pounding. "Mr. Locke, you okay?" I gasped, chest heaving. There was someone in the hallway, a kid. He said I left them. Jules shook his head. "Are you sure? Nobody's supposed to be back there, and it's quiet, boss." I nodded, unable to speak. My hands trembled. He guided me to a staff bench. "Take a breather." His blue eyes looked worried, genuinely. My gaze wandered back down the corridor. Empty. Jules sat beside me. "Take the rest of the night off. I'll call your supervisor." I wanted to walk away, to fill my lungs with cold night air, anywhere but here. "Thanks," I muttered. Jules stayed until I regained calm. "Night shifts are weird sometimes," he said softly. "Shadows stretch. Memories sneak in." I smiled, though it hurt. "Yeah." They ran the footage next morning. Nada, no teen, no figure. Just me, staring into darkness. Management put me on paid leave, no questions. They said safety first, health first. But my soul? It didn't budge. Now, months later, I live in a small apartment. Nights still call me. The hum of street lamps makes me twitch. I've returned to part-time night shifts at Walmart when I can spare the brain. But I never go near that corridor. And once a month, a note appears in my locker. "You left us." Handwriting unfamiliar. Scratched letters, like the scrawl of chalk on a blackboard. I shook off the first one. The third note I kept, taped it to my mirror. It reminds me, teaching is more than grammar. It's being present, not frozen. I haven't returned to the high school yet. Maybe I'll try. But "you left us" haunts me, a call to action, a caution. In every classroom, every hallway, utter passivity can wound more than words. Tonight, as I lie here, with the hum of HVAC cycling through my window, I understand truth clearly. Being present matters more than being right. When someone hurts or reaches out, your silence can speak louder than any apology. Don't walk away and hide in inertia. Stay with them. Whether in a dim aisle, a noisy classroom, or a fragile moment at 2:10 a.m., you can be the difference between guilt and grace, neglect and healing. I wasn't exactly proud of where I'd been, but I was proud of where I was headed. After 17 months clean and just enough community service to wear holes in 2 pairs of boots, I landed a night shift job at the Walmart neighborhood market off Hendersonville Road in Asheville, North Carolina. Not glamorous, not exciting, but it was steady. Steady was all I needed. I'd been a line cook before everything spiraled. Booze, pills, a DUI, and one long, lonely stint in rehab. By the time I was released, most of my friends had moved on or moved away. I was 32, back living in a basement rental with one window and working graveyard hours unloading trucks. But you know what? That quiet, humming solitude of the back dock, just me, the pallets, and the distant beep of forklifts, felt like peace. On March 13th, a Wednesday, I clocked in around 9 p.m. like usual. It was one of those early spring nights where the air still bit a little, but the breeze smelled like rain was coming. Around 9:30, I took a smoke break by the back entrance. The lot was nearly empty, just one old Ford idling with its headlights off. Then he walked up, tall, tan trench coat, dark slacks, shiny brown loafers. He looked out of place like he belonged in a boardroom, not a Walmart parking lot. He smiled warmly, southern drawl and all, and said, "Evening. Didn't mean to startle you. You Julian?" I froze a little. "Yeah. You from corporate or something?" He chuckled. "Nah, not quite. Saw you from the corner. Thought maybe you'd help me out with something simple." He held up a medium-sized boxed TV. Said he bought it earlier for his daughter's birthday, but realized she already had the same model. Would return it myself, but I left my ID at the hotel. Don't want the fuss. If you could just take it in, I'll pay you $50 for your time. I even got the receipt. He handed me what looked like a legitimate receipt. I glanced at it, half skeptical. "You sure this is cool? I ain't trying to lose my job, man." "Completely above board," he said with a charming grin. "You just hand it over at the desk, they scan it, refund goes to my card. Easy as pie." I hesitated, but $50? That was groceries for the week. So I said yes. The customer service area was mostly quiet. Just one older couple arguing over coupons and a bored-looking cashier yawning behind register 6. I walked up, feeling a little stupid carrying a box for a stranger, but trying to play it cool. "Need to return this," I said, setting the TV down. The girl at the register blinked at me. "You have the card it was purchased with?" I handed her the receipt. She scanned it. Beep. Then the screen blinked red. I heard the soft metallic click of a security door opening. Out walked Janelle, the night manager, with 2 uniformed loss prevention officers. All eyes were suddenly on me. "Julian," Janelle said, arms crossed. "Yeah," I croaked. "Why are you returning a flagged item from this morning's theft report?" I blinked. "What?" One of the guards stepped closer. "That TV was reported stolen at 10:16 a.m. today. You want to tell us what's going on?" My mouth dried out like I'd swallowed a bag of sand. "A guy out back gave it to me. Said he had the receipt, this one, and wanted me to return it for him. I didn't know it was stolen." They exchanged a look. Janelle's voice softened just a little. "You got a description?" I described him. Sharp suit, southern drawl, maybe mid-40s, clean, confident. I told them where I'd been, what time, everything. They walked me back to the security office, pulled up the outside footage. There he was, clear as day, handing me the TV. But he never entered the store, just passed me the box and vanished like smoke. Cops arrived 20 minutes later. I gave them my full statement. They said I was lucky. It could have been worse. Some scammers set you up, then bolt. Some leave you holding stolen credit cards or fake IDs. I might have gone to jail if the cameras weren't clear, but that didn't stop the rumors. Even though management didn't fire me, word got around fast. That's the thing about night shifts. People talk, especially when there's nothing else to break the silence. Some coworkers looked at me differently. A couple stopped talking to me altogether. I'd catch whispers behind aisles. "That's the guy who got caught at register 6. I kept to myself more after that, took my breaks alone. It hurt, more than I'd like to admit. I'd spent the last year trying to prove I was done with bad decisions. Then one moment of hesitation, a desperate man taking an offer, and I was back to square one in everyone's eyes. Kyle, another dock guy, tried to ease it off. "Man, I believe you," he said. "People don't realize how easy it is to get played. That suit probably hit 3 other Walmarts before he found someone willing to help. I nodded, grateful, but still raw inside. 2 weeks later, I saw another return go down at Register 6. A woman returned a coffee maker, no drama. Still, I found myself scanning the parking lot like a hawk. I couldn't stop remembering the man's voice, that grin, the weight of the TV in my arms. And the worst part? A piece of me kept wondering what might have happened if I'd just said no. By early April, I'd stopped taking smoke breaks out back. I didn't want to see him again, even if I knew deep down I probably wouldn't. Still, every time I passed that spot near the dumpsters, I felt a chill. I started dreaming about it too, about red alerts, about trench coats, about my badge being torn off. It got to me. Not just the incident, but the idea that even when you're trying to be better, the world doesn't always give you space to breathe. Second chances are fragile things. One crack, and people only see the flaws. So I focused harder on my work, took extra shifts, volunteered to help in dry goods. I even started eating lunch with Kyle again, little by little rebuilding what I'd almost lost. Not everyone forgot, but a few forgave, and that mattered. It's been 6 months now. I'm still at the same Walmart, still unloading trucks, still avoiding Register 6, but I'm more careful. About people, about promises, about instincts. If something feels wrong now, I listen to that feeling. I trust my gut. I protect the second chance I fought so damn hard to earn. Every now and then someone brings up that night. I shrug. Learned my lesson. And I did. Not every offer is worth the cost. In a world that doesn't easily forgive, guard your second chances like treasure. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. I never thought I'd be living in a van at 36, hidden in the far corner of a Walmart supercenter parking lot. But after the divorce and the catering business tanked, my options ran out. My name's Carmen Ruiz, and back then, my world had shrunk to the night shift, a locker, and a seat that reclined just enough to pass for a bed. It wasn't the worst setup. The lot cameras were decent. The store's Wi-Fi barely reached, but it gave me something to stream on my cracked phone. Most people didn't know, and that's how I liked it. Well, most people except Chad. He was the janitor. 50-something, greasy ball cap always pulled low, gray goatee stained from too much vending machine coffee. He never said much at first. Just nodded, maybe asked how the night was going. But then it started. I'd walk through the employee entrance, and there he'd be, mopping the floor like he'd been waiting. "You staying warm?" he'd ask. Or, "That coat of yours looks too thin for this weather." He always smiled when he said it, but not the kind of smile that made you feel safe. I tried to ignore him, kept to myself. I was too tired to make waves. Then one morning, after a particularly long shift restocking seasonal clearance junk, I walked out to my van and found a piece of paper tucked under my wiper. Handwritten in blocky, uneven letters, "You don't have to sleep out here. I've got heat." My stomach dropped. There was no name, but I didn't need one. It was Chad. That night, I parked 3 blocks away behind a closed bank and walked in with my hoodie pulled up. But he still found me. He always did. And that's when I knew. This wasn't just weird anymore, it was dangerous. I tried to downplay it for a while, told myself I was overreacting. He hadn't done anything, technically. Just some notes, lingering glances, standing too close when the break room was already empty. But it was the consistency that rattled me. I'd be clocking in and see him refilling soap by the sink, folding paper towels like a surgeon preparing for operation, always with that quiet, watchful look. "Rough night?" he'd ask, like we were friends. I kept replies short. "Yep, busy," or "fine." And I'd keep moving. Then he started noticing my clothes, noticing when I wore my fleece-lined leggings under the uniform pants. "Nice touch," he said once with a grin. "Bet that keeps you real warm." My skin crawled. I told my supervisor, Melinda, during our 5-minute check-in. She was mid-20s, overwhelmed, and always behind on paperwork. I could tell she didn't want the extra trouble. "Have you told him to stop?" she asked. "I haven't exactly invited it," I said. "He's watching me, leaving notes. It's not right." She sighed. "Okay, I'll talk to him. Just, let's not make this a whole thing unless it gets worse, all right?" That talk must have happened because 2 nights later, Chad didn't say a word. Just walked past me near the staff lockers, mop handle bouncing on his shoulder, face unreadable. I should have felt relief. Instead, I felt hunted. The break room was next to receiving, just beyond where the forklift guys parked their pallets. The door had always stuck a little, but that night when I went in for my midnight break, it clicked shut, louder than usual. I pulled the handle. It didn't budge. I pulled again. Nothing. The light flicked off. At first, I thought maybe the bulb blew. Then I heard it, keys jangling. Slowly, like someone taking their time. My hands trembled. "Hey! Who's out there?" I shouted. No answer, just that soft, metallic rhythm. Ch-chick, ch-chick. I started pounding. "Open the door! Open the damn door!" Seconds later, the door burst open from the outside. Tony from Dry Goods had heard me and yanked it open with a panicked look. There was no one in the hall. But the security camera outside? It was twisted to face the cinder block wall. That was the night I stopped pretending this wasn't real. The store changed after that. Not visibly. To most folks, it was business as usual. Stock the shelves, count the overstock, make it to payday. But to me, every creak in the building felt loaded. I started tracking where Chad was at all times. He never said another word to me, not directly. But I'd see him, just standing, watching. HR finally got involved after I filed an official complaint, citing the incident with the break room door, the turned camera, and the prior notes. Their response? "We'll conduct an internal investigation." 2 days later, I was called into the office. "Chad is no longer with the company," they said. No details, no apology, no police follow-up, just gone. I kept asking myself, what would have happened if Tony hadn't been there? If I hadn't screamed loud enough? If I hadn't already been scared enough to notice things? I knew the answer. Deep down, I think I always knew. We checked the building's security footage together. On fast forward, the screen flickered through the alley's night. Then around 11 p.m., a figure appeared. Male, tall, blazer. He dragged a collapsible ladder from the trash area, set it against the wall, climbed. It stopped just short of my window. He looked in, watched. I turned away from the monitor, nauseous. The footage ended. No confrontation, no break-in, just watching. The cops came again. They took a statement, logged the ladder, took a copy of the footage. "He hasn't made contact inside your home, but let us know if anything escalates." He never came back to the cafe. No more coffee, no more sugar, no more sunshine. But the feeling didn't leave. I didn't feel victorious. I felt hunted. I pushed a dresser in front of the fire escape window, just in case. I still live in that apartment, but the windows don't open anymore. Curtains stay closed. Lights go out earlier than they used to. It's been 6 months. I haven't seen him since. No notes, no strange packages, no sightings in the alley. Sometimes I wonder if he ever meant to hurt me, or if watching was the entire goal, if he thought his attention was a compliment. That's what chills me the most. Because people think monsters are loud, violent, obvious. But the truth, they're patient. They wait. They learn your steps, your shifts, your habits. They know when you're alone, and they never knock on your door. They wait until you forget to lock the window. I don't work early shifts anymore. I don't open the curtains. I check for ladders, every single night. Pay attention to patterns, yours and theirs. What feels like routine to you might feel like opportunity to someone else. Trust your instincts. You don't owe anyone politeness at the cost of your safety.